Hello, I'm Bob McFarland, a software developer with Scripty Systems. I'll be your host as we take a look at working with your production participants and crew. For this video, I'll be working in a TV series project because I've got a couple of units set up for shooting different blocks of episodes. If you're working on a feature film, you may have a second unit, so the concepts will be the same. You'll be adding individuals to a project into a kind of contacts list, then adding them to the appropriate department within the unit in which they'll be working. Of course, individuals can work in multiple units, and one person can have multiple jobs within a unit. How many times have you seen produced, written, and directed by the same person? Alright, enough introduction, let's get started. Here's my series project ready for the production participants and crew. There are two places where you can add people to the project. It just depends on what stage you're at with the project and the role the individual will have in the project. I'll click the Participants menu, then Production and Crew. This list is basically your contacts list for the production. Everyone involved will be listed here. If you need to find someone's email address or phone number, this is the place to go. There are two reasons to start here when adding people to the production. One is if the individual is above the line, like the executive producers and so on. They won't be assigned to a particular unit, but will be included on call sheets. The other reason to add individuals here is if you know they'll be working on the production, but you're not ready to assign them to a specific unit. You can always add them to one or more units later. If you do know that someone will be working within a specific unit, you can go straight to the unit and add them there. Anyone added directly into a unit will, of course, show up in this list. I'll show you that option in a little bit. Let's start by adding an executive producer. I'll click the plus button to add them. As you add new people, you have the option of adding them to your master list for use in future projects. This is the list that opens when you add a new person to the production. It will show a list of people who are not already included in this project. If the person you're looking for is in the list, just click them to select them. If the person you're looking for is not in the list, click the plus button to add a new participant. You have your basic contact information to fill in. I'll fill in their name and email address. Notice this checkbox. This is what I mentioned before. Leave it checked if you want to add this individual to your master list. Over on the right, you can select their department and title within that department. Only select them if they are above the line. If they're not above the line, you'll select their department and title when you add them to the appropriate unit or units. I'll click the department drop-down. Notice that production is the only department in the list. Only departments that include titles that are flagged as above the line will be included in this drop-down. Obviously, I'll select production. Then I'll select the title. This drop-down only includes the titles in the selected department that are flagged as above the line. I'll show you how to configure them a little later in this video. The communications method has to do with how this person would receive call sheets. The scheduling app option means they're using this app or the related call sheet app. Next, you can set whether this person wants half size or full size sides. If their eyesight isn't very good, I recommend the full size. I'll leave Jane's as half size. You can optionally enter their hire date and release dates at some point if you like. If you started the project, you are already designated as a file owner. That means you can do anything in the project. You can also assign others as file owners if you want to give them full permissions within the project. I don't recommend this, but it's there if you need to do it. And notice the Script Manager checkbox is grayed out. Within a project, only one person is allowed to import script revisions. Several things are linked to the script, and it would cause problems if more than one person was importing revisions. The person who created the file in the first place is designated as the script manager. If you want someone else to be the script manager and you started the file, you'd need to go into your record and uncheck the script manager checkbox. Then you can go to the other person and designate them as the script manager. The next option is the Share Project Data option. The basic scheduler package includes data sharing for you and for other people. If this is someone who will be using this app or the call sheet app to receive their call sheets, you'll want to include them in data sharing. I'll go into the specific procedures for data sharing in another video. Jane is now an executive producer and will appear at the top of the call sheets. You can configure which titles appear at the top of the call sheets in Preferences. We'll see that later. To remove someone from the list, just select them in the list and click the trash can. Confirm the deletion and they'll be deleted. I'll cancel since we want to keep her on the project. Okay, I'll close the Production and Crew window. Now let's take a look at the other place where you can enter Production and Crew. I'll click the Participants menu, then Units. The main unit you see here is automatically created when the project is started. I also have another unit for episodes 2, 4, and 6 that I set up before importing the script for episode 2. For a TV series, you have to add the unit that will be shooting an episode before you import the first script because you'll identify the unit for the initial strip board. If you need to add additional units, such as a splinter unit, click the plus button. The unit is added to the list, and now I can type in the name of the unit. I press Tab to lock it in. That's a good habit to form. Anytime you type something in a field, press Tab or click in another box to lock it in. Now we have our splinter unit ready for the crew. Alright, I'll switch back to the main unit by selecting it in the list. If you remember from the videos that demonstrate starting a new project, the first thing that happens is it takes you to select the department you're in and your title. Then it adds you to the main unit in that department. You can see that I was added as the first AD in the directorial department. Let's go ahead and add our script supervisor. I'll click the plus button for the continuity department. Remember when I said you can add someone to multiple departments or in multiple roles within a unit? When you add someone, the list includes everyone, so you can add them multiple times. Once this list gets long and you may be looking for someone specific, you can type part of their name in the search box and press return to quickly find them. I'll type Jane and press return. Alright, I'll clear the search and press return again. If you don't see the person in the list you're looking for because they haven't been added to the project yet, you can check your master list by clicking the padlock. Looks like I've entered myself in the master list. In any case, the list now includes everyone in my master list and everyone that has already been added to the project. I'll click the padlock again to remove those from my master list. If the person I'm looking for is not in the list, I can add them by clicking the plus button. This window is fairly similar to the one that opened when we added Jane to the production. I'll start by filling in the name and email address. He's a really good script supervisor, so I want to add him to my master list, so I'll keep the Add to Saved list for future use checked. Notice the department is already pre-selected since I clicked on the plus button for the continuity department. I'll go ahead and select his title. The next option is important to remember. Add to applicable strips. Since strips were created for every scene when the script is imported, and crew gets attached to strips so they can be included in the correct call sheet, if you want this person to be on set for everything this unit, in this case the main unit, is shooting, you'll want to keep that option checked. If it is checked, when you click the Save button, Tony will be automatically added to all the applicable strips, saving you from having to add him manually. Now, if you're adding someone for a specific purpose for one or two strips, such as a crane operator or something like that, you would want to uncheck this option. Then go into the individual strips where they are needed and add them. You can learn more about that in the strips video. If this person is eligible for leave time, check that option. Then in the call sheet section, you'll be able to enter the half hour or whatever amount of time they're allowed when entering their payroll times. Let's talk about the roles section. You can see that crew is selected and everything else is grayed out. That's because crew has the least amount of permissions within the scheduler system. If a crew member happens to use this app, their ability to change things will be greatly limited. Since Tony is our script supervisor, he's considered a department head. I'll uncheck the crew box. Now I can set other roles for Tony. I'll start with department head. Among other things, a department head can add departmental strips to a strip board that no one other than those within the department can see. And when the call sheet is produced, departmental strips will be included in the call sheets for that department. Kind of cool. The next role is paperwork. This person can add crew members as I'm doing now. They can also enter time card information and so on. A schedule owner can modify a strip board for any strip boards within their unit. A strip board approver is just that. A call sheet approver is kind of obvious as well. Before a call sheet can be released, a call sheet approver must approve it. If you watched the Getting Started video and the process of creating an account, you learned about setting up a digital signature. When the call sheet is approved, the digital signature appears on the call sheet that is distributed. Now, a call sheet reviewer is someone who can give feedback and notes about a call sheet before it's released, but their feedback is not necessary to release a call sheet. Oftentimes, certain department heads will also be call sheet reviewers, so that things that maybe the first AD didn't know about can get added to the call sheet. And here you can set the communications method for this person, mainly as to how they will receive the call sheet. The scheduling app would be this app or the call sheet app that is part of the scheduling system. And the final option is to share project data. Check this box if this person will be using this app and syncing the project data with other users. This allows multiple people to be working in the project file at the same time without having to send a copy of the file to them, then losing track of who has the current copy of the file. You just do your work, and when you're ready for everyone else to see it, you'll push your changes so that everyone else can download them. Well, I think we have everything, so I'll click Save. Saving just added Tony to our contacts list. I haven't actually added him to the unit yet. But notice the Select box is checked. And notice that the department and title are selected as well, along with the role of department head that I selected. If he is the only one I'm adding to the unit at this time, and he is, I'll just click the Save button. And Tony's been added to the continuity department. If you want to make changes to someone in the list or look up more details, just double-click on their row. You can make the changes and click Done. If you want to delete someone from a unit, just select them in the list, then click the trash can. Once you confirm that you want to delete them from the unit, they'll be removed from all the strips that are in strip boards for that unit. Once you get all the crew added to the unit, the list will get quite long. You can filter the list with one of the many options you see, or you can do a search by name. I'll just click the Department Heads filter. Now the list only includes department heads. So that's how you add crew to a unit. I'll go ahead and close the units window. And just to show you that Tony was added to the full production and crew list, I'll open it up. And there's Tony right in the middle. When I added Tony, I left the box checked to add him to all the applicable strips. Here in the main window, we're looking at episode 101, which is being shot by the main unit. That's where I added Tony. I'll double-click on strip 1. The strip window opens. I'll select the Production Crew tab, and notice that our script supervisor is in the Continuity department. Earlier I mentioned that I would show you how to configure the department titles that are above the line. Let's take a look at that now, along with some of the other settings for departments and titles. Now just to remind you, Scheduler has what we call master preferences and project preferences. The master preferences are copied into each new project so that you can make changes within the project that won't affect future projects, in case you have something that is unique for a specific project. Changes you make in the project preferences can be saved to the master preferences at the same time, though. So if you do make a change within a project that you want to use in future projects, you can save it to the master preferences so you don't have to update the master preferences manually. Let's take a look at the master department and title settings. All preferences are found under the Scheduler menu. There are two selections, Master Preferences and Master Lists. The departments are under the Master List menu. Each department includes a list of job titles within the department that you can add to as new jobs are created. Like maybe for the camera department, you'll need to add Drone Operator. The departments are sorted in call sheet order. You can rearrange the order by dragging a department to a new row, like this. Let's take a look at the settings for a department first. I'll double-click the camera department. Starting with the marker field, you can see the note about that. When there are notes for a department, this abbreviation will appear on the strip board so that anyone looking at the strip board will know there are notes. The walkie channel is kind of obvious, so let's talk about the call sheet time. There are several options to save the second AD or whoever sets up the call times for departments and individuals to save them time. Of course, for each day, the crew call time and the shooting call time is set on the call sheet. Here you can indicate that this department will use its own call time, meaning they either don't have to be on set or they can show up whenever they feel like it. One note, whatever is set here is carried through to the individuals in the department to determine their actual call time, unless you override it for one or more particular titles in the department. Or you can even override the call time for individuals within the department. Okay, back to the options. The department's call time can be the same as the crew call time set for the day, or the shooting call time set for the day. When you select the crew call or shooting call, a box appears for the plus or minus minutes. For example, if the props department has to be on set 30 minutes before the crew, you would enter minus 30. The next option is a unique time. When that's selected, you'll need to enter the specific time for the department in the call sheet. The last option is substitute phrase. This means that on the call sheet, don't show any actual times for anyone in the department. Instead, plug in a phrase. You may use that for the transportation department and plug in per the captain or something like that. So you can see you have a lot of options for setting and effectively calculating the call time for a department. The last option for a department is to indicate that this department starts a new column in the back of the call sheet. Remember that the departments are ordered for the back of the call sheet. You use this setting for a department to force them to start the second or third column. Alright, I'll close that so we can take a look at the settings for a department title. I'm going to switch to the production department. Now, just as the departments are in call sheet order, so are the titles within the department. Drag them into the order you want them, just like with the departments. Notice the megaphone icon on some of the titles. This indicates that this person will appear in the header of the call sheet. You'll see where you set that in the title settings. I'll double-click on the executive producer. The very first option indicates whether to include them in the call sheet header as indicated by the megaphone. You can also indicate whether to include them in the call sheet footer. This would usually be the first AD or maybe the unit production manager. You can have more than one, by the way. The next option is whether a person in this role should be included when printing sides for the day. If a person in a role does get sides, when you add the individual, you can indicate whether they should get full page or half page sides. Moving on, you can see that the executive producer is marked as above the line. Remember when we added a new participant to our production crew list? If they were not in a specific unit, you could select their above the line department and title. This checkbox is what determines which departments are in that department dropdown. If no titles within the department are marked as above the line, the department won't be in the dropdown. And when you select a department, only those titles marked as above the line will be available. Then, similar to the department's call sheet time settings, the title has call sheet time settings as well. Most of them would be marked to use the department setting. If a particular title needs something other than whatever the department is set to use, you can override the department setting. The options are the same: own call, crew call, which allows for the adjustment from the crew call time, shooting call, same adjustment, and finally a unique time. If this is selected, you'll have to enter this person's individual call time. You'll learn more about the call times and setting department and individual call times in the call sheets video. All right, I'll cancel this. So that's how you can configure the departments and titles within departments. Well, at this point, I think you know what you need to know in order to start adding your crew to the production. I would recommend watching the call sheet video while this is still fresh in your mind. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.